20% of restaurant reservations end in no-shows. For a 50-seat restaurant, that's around $250K in lost revenue every single year. And because restaurants run on 5% profit margins, you'll need to sell $4,000 worth of food just to recover the profit from a $200 no-show table. But what if you can have a system that can actually enforce credit card deposits, send a secure payment link through SMS, and only confirm the reservation after the money hits your bank or on autopilot? Well, I know this because we've done it. Hi, my name is Edwin Chen, and for the past year, we've been working with a $250 million restaurant chain with over 200 locations to build systems that protect the lost revenue. Today, I'm going to show you how to build an AI receptionist that can solve the biggest financial drain for restaurants: no-shows. Not Stripe like every other tutorial out there, but with a real POS that restaurants and hotels actually use: Shift4. First, I'll show you a full demo of the system. Then, I'll walk you through step-by-step using Voiceflow and Shift4. If you want my agency to implement something similar like this for your restaurant to stop losing thousands to no-shows, you're welcome to use the link in the description to book a free discovery call with me and my team. If you're new to this channel and don't know who I am, my name is Edwin Chen, and for the past year, I've been running my own AI company, Legacy AI, where we've been helping restaurant chains, franchises, service brands to protect their revenue and deliver premium customer experience on autopilot through conversational AI systems like the one you're about to see in this video. Without further ado, let's get straight to the demo.
Hey, thanks for calling Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. This is Mary speaking. Can I have your name, please?
Hey, yeah, my name's Edwin.
Good evening, Edwin. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I'm just looking to book a table for two for next Friday.
May I please have your email address and your mobile phone number to complete the reservation details?
Yeah, so it's 123@gmail.com and the phone number is 7466675565.
Edwin, I can confirm we have availability for a table for 2 next Friday at 4 p.m. To secure a table for your party, we require a $50 deposit. I can send a secure payment link to your mobile number right now. Shall I do that?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I've just sent a secure payment link to your mobile number ending in 7,565. Could you please let me know once you've received the SMS?
Yeah, I got it. Should I pay now, like using the link, right?
Yes, please go ahead and pay using the link now. Let me know once you've completed the payment, and I'll confirm your reservation right away.
Yeah, I just completed it, the payment. Please check now.
Edwin, your reservation is fully confirmed for next Friday at 4 p.m. Everything is set. Thank you again for your payment. If you need anything else or wish to make changes, just let us know. Have a fantastic evening.
Thanks, bye. So let me talk you through the high-level workflow of what we're building today. So we're going to be building basically a restaurant reservation voice agent that can book a reservation on behalf of the customers, but more importantly, to stop the no-shows by actually taking a secure deposit right on the phone. Let me show you how it's done. So we're going to be using Voiceflow in order to build the voice agent. That would be our basic infrastructure for building this voice bot. So it works this way. When we get an incoming call, the AI agent will pick up the phone call from the customers. The agent will greet the user and actually listens to the user request. For example, they would like to book a table. And based on that, the AI will be able to capture the date, the time the user wants, the customer email, the customer name, and their phone number. Basically, collect these all details. And based on the date time, it's going to check for the availabilities of that specific restaurant. In this video, I'm going to be using Google Calendar to make it a little bit more simple. But of course, it also works for any other booking software out there, like OpenTable, for example, right? And that will be done using an AM. After it checks for availabilities, if the slot is not available, then the AI will ask for an alternate time until a slot works. However, if the slot is available, then the AI will automatically generate a payment link using the Shift4 payment link API, aka it's by the Shift4 suite, and we'll be sending the SMS for the payment link directly to the customer on the phone through something called Twilio, which is a communication platform. Once the customer get the link, they're going to pay the deposit while the AI agent is waiting for them on the phone. And then the AI will automatically verify the transaction by calling the Shift4 database that you've got, essentially. And once the transaction is successful and is actually verified, only then do the AI agent actually go ahead and book the actual reservation for the customer and finalize the reservation. Again, we'll be using Google Calendar for the actual booking, but again, it works for any software such as OpenTable. Just so this is kind of the very simplistic, kind of high-level workflow of what we're going to build today. So we're in Voiceflow, and I'm going to show you how we actually build this agent, right? So let me just go to the Agents tab, right? I'm just going to create a new Agents tab. I'm going to go into the agent, and let's look through the prompt together first, right? So it's basically say you're Mary, right? A super warm and friendly waitress working for Fleming Prime Steakhouse and Wine Bar. You speak with polish, expect behind in the restaurant, right? Give them the role, right? Give some for the variables. Current date time, you didn't know. You can VF now, gives you the current date and time. This is the in-house variables, a default variable set within Voiceflow. You can also determine the user's time zone with the VF/user time zone, right? And use these variables to understand relative dates. So if a user said tomorrow in the demo, he said next Friday, you're actually able to understand what day I'm actually speaking, right? Because it has context what the current date time is. Then we go to the goal, right? Your primary goal is to help customers make a table reservation. And your secondary goal is to strictly enforce the $50 deposit policy for all reservations using secure SMS link, right? So then we basically tell the AI like kind of what the conversational flow that it should be saying, right? So it must follow the sequence, right? First of all, as you saw from the demo, it will start from greeting, right? We start with, hey, thanks for calling Fleming Prime Steakhouse. This is Mary speaking. We then try to capture the name. Can I have your name, please? Just to make the whole conversation a little bit more personalized, right? Rather than saying, hey, sir, right? Just say by my name, I will be able to connect with the person more, right? Then over to the assistant. Once they give the name, acknowledge it want me, right? So good evening name, how can I help you today, right? And then the user will say something, right? The user usually say, hey, I actually want to book a table for 2, right? So if they want a reservation, then you go ahead and collect the dates, right? Where we can create a variable within Voiceflow, which is called booking date. It depends on that value here is dynamic, and it depends on what the user set, right? The time, which is the booking time, the party size, or how many guests are there, the email of the customer, and the phone number of the customer, right? Then this is an AI agent. So an AI agent uses something called tool. If you don't know what that is, it's basically using a tool to perform certain real-life actions, right? So right now, we have a check availability tool attached to this AI agent. So we're telling the AI agent to use the check availability tool to check whether the date and the time the customer suggests is available or not. It then uses variables availability to tell the user whether the slot is free, right? And we just go ahead and click on this tool. So if you go to plus, there are different tool types you can call. The most usual one that you're going to do is call an API. So the API call is just a direct API. Basically, it's able to send information from one place to another. And we have a check availability tool, which is use this tool to check for availabilities. We have the booking date, the booking time, the email, and the name. The agent, the AI agent, will automatically collect that information based on the conversational flow. And the availabilities, which is the response that you get back from this API tool call. So this tool call will basically return a variable called availabilities, which is basically showing whether the slot that the user wants, the time that the user wants, if that time is available or not, right? And for this specific tool, if you click on the pencil, you can actually see kind of the specific details. Yes, the booking date, the time, the email, and the name, right? So for here, you can see that this is the full kind of sending it to something called NAN, right? So if you didn't know what that is, NAN is basically an automation platform that allows us to do certain automations. Now, I've covered this kind of check availability and the booking agent in more details in many of my previous videos. So if you want to see some of the, you can use the link, not the link, but like you can just click somewhere here in the screen. By the end of the video, you can actually watch the video that covers the booking of availabilities agent, right? But just as a brief note, this is NAN, and we have 2 agents. The first one, which is the one that we're using right now, is the check availability agent, where if you just click on the webhook, if you go to the production URL, copy this webhook and paste it here, so the AI would know where to send the information to and from, right? So it's going to send information that contains the booking date, the booking time, the email, and the name to this webhook, which receives the information, connects to an AI agent that has the prompt, right, to check for the appointment availability, and it's attached to a tool itself, which is the check availability tool of Google Canada. So if you go to Google Canada, you can actually click on this, and there's an action called Get Availability in Canada. You just need to click on that and configure that, and just attach that tool to this AI agent. So it will check whether the slots available from the user are actually free. If those slots are available, then it sends the information back to this tool in the format of response, and the AI agent would therefore know whether the slots are actually free or not, right? That's the first tool. Not going to go too much into this. because I've covered this in previous videos already. The most important part is the payment handoff. So once the details are collected, inform them basically we're trying to do the deposit, right? So to secure a table for a party of that size, we usually require $50 deposit, right? So this is kind of how we configure this, right? So the AI agent should say, I can send a secure payment link. Should I do that now, right? Basically, when the user confirms, you then create another tool, called create checkout tool to create the payment link, right? Now, this is the part where Shift4 comes in. If you're a restaurant owner, you already know that Shift4 is basically one of the most used POS system, including payment processing and POS and KDS into one suite of solutions, right? So if you're new to this, you can just go to Shift4 and you can go to dev.shift4.com, right? You're going to sign up a free account. You can do this for free, and you will sign up a free account to get access to the Shift4 API. So once you're in the dashboard, it will look something like this. So obviously you can go ahead and activate your account if you want, but for now we're in test mode where we can just test out all the different APIs, right? So if within the dashboard, you can see multiple things. So you can see charges, right? So you can see some of the different charges like being incurred to the customers. There's also the customer dashboard where you can see all the different customer and the customer ID and when they were created. You can see the products. If you want, you can add products in here. You can also have access to some of the payment links that you previously have access to, right? So previously created, right? And you get payouts and more. So you can configure all these things into this kind of user-friendly dashboard, right? But the thing that I actually want you to do right now is if you go to Get API Keys and go ahead, you can click on Create New API Key, and you will have basically a public key and a secret key. You will want to review this secret key and copy this secret key. Essentially, this is your API key. And the first API that we're going to be using in the documentation is to create a new payment link, right? So if you remember, we basically want the AI agent to send a payment link through SMS to the user. The user can then use the payment link and pay, right? And basically through their phone. So that's why we have this create checkout basically tool, right? So we call this tool when a user confirms that they would like you to send a secure payment link. This is the first step to create a checkout and return the payment link, right? So if you go to the API, you basically want to use the create a new payment API, right? So you would go to this, you just copy paste basically the URL, which is the api.shift4.com, payment links. You get the content type, which is you're sending a data type of JSON. Again, for the authorization, you will need to type in basic, then your key, right? Which can be found within the dashboard here, right? That's your key. And then you basically send this information, right? You have, basically, you just need to copy this kind of format where you have line items, you have your product, right? In this case, the name, which will be the Fleming reservation deposit for name. You have description, which is table for the name on booking date and booking time. The amount, now this is actually $50, but every time we actually send the API, the way that that Shift4 API works is that it's basically to the right by 2 decimal points. So if we say $50, you actually need to type in 5,000, right? So if you type in, if it's 49.50, you need to type in 4,950 into this amount. That's just how the API works. You need to define your currency, and you would just send this information to Shift4, right? Using this API. Again, I refer you to go to the API docs, create a new payment link, and actually work through the different objects together. But this is a high-level overview. And usually from the response, if I just do that right now, and if I just reuse some of the last values, you're able to get back a response which contains an ID, which is very important. We will capture this as a payment ID, essentially. And then we have the URL, which is the most important part. So right now, what happened when I was on the demo is that I basically pay by using this link. If you go to this link, essentially, you can just pick in, like you can see the $50 USD for the Fleming's reservation deposit for Tom Smith, right? And then you can just put in your card details. Sorry, this is basically a test number that you can put in, 424242. And you just put in any dates, any 2-3 digits, and I'll just say Tom Smith. Maybe just put in a random email. I'm going to pay the deposit and just get payment completed, right? So the way that you can see that is actually completed as well is if you go to charges, if I refresh, you see 1:39 a.m. and you can see that it's created by 1:38 a.m. So this was the one that I just created. Yeah, so basically we successfully paid. You can see the card number, the card type, expiry date, all this different information, that the payment link, and all the different informations that you have access to within this dashboard, essentially, right? Now, remember, we have the ID, right? And we have the URL, right? This is what we want. Basically, that's why we have to capture the response. The response.url will be the payment link, and the response.id will be the payment ID that we need in a bit, right? And once we've actually generate the payment link, which is the variable payment link, once we have the payment link, then we will call another tool, which is called send SMS tool. Basically, this tool will actually send the message, send an SMS, essentially send the payment link to the user's phone number, right? So to do that, we're actually using a native tool within Voiceflow, which is actually called Twilio. So Twilio, if you didn't know, is basically a very, very popular platform that allows telephony and also communication API. So you can buy different virtual numbers here, and you can connect it directly to something like Voiceflow, and it will basically send messages, SMS, or phone calls very easily from a Twilio number, which is a virtual number, to the user's or customer's physical number, right? So within Twilio, if you just basically, I've already in here, but if you can go to click to manage, and you can just connect and click on connect into your dashboard, and you can connect Twilio to your Voiceflow. Once you're done, once you're actually connected, then you can actually have a tool called send SMS, right? Which is a native tool, again, within Voiceflow. So if you click on integration, Twilio, send SMS, right? I've already configured that. So within here, you just need to say, use this tool to send a payment link generated to the user's phone number through SMS. And the body, again, will be the payment link variable that you just generated using the Shift4 API. You're going to send it to the phone number of the user, and you're going to, from basically a Twilio number that I've already configured, essentially, right? So this is the send SMS tool. And after this SMS is sent, right, so we're back to the conversational flow. Let's tell the user you just send the link and ask the user to let you know when they receive the SMS. And once the user confirms that they received the link, ask them to pay and let you know when it's done. Basically, again, as you see in the demo, the AI is just hanging on while we pay, right? And once the user confirmed that they have paid, which I've just done just now, for example, use the check payment tool, right, another tool, to check for payment status, right? If it's successful, tell the user you saw the payment. If not, tell the user to double check or try again, right? So basically what we're saying is we call another tool. This is the second API from Shift4 that I want you guys to know about, especially if you're trying to implement something like this, which is retrieve charges related to a payment link. What this does, a charge, as you can see, is basically an instance, or it's basically an object from here. Every time basically money goes through from a customer to the restaurant, that creates a charge automatically. That means the payment has been successful, right? So what this actually does is it's retrieving that history of charge related to a payment link. So if I generate a payment link and the customer paid using this payment link, there will be a charge, as you can see here, right? That means if the user actually said they have paid, you can just use this API to retrieve the charge ID, right? Retrieve the charge ID, as you can see here, to confirm that the status, the transaction is actually successful, to make sure the customer actually paid the money, right? This is how we can verify the customers actually paid the money. And it's using through this API. So again, it's a GET this time, and because we're retrieving information, and we're going to be using this API, right? This URL. So if we just go to the check payment API, use this tool when the user confirm they've paid to check for payment status. The input variable is the payment ID, which we've captured, remember, from the previous Shift4 create payment link API. We're capturing both the URL and the ID. And now we're injecting the payment ID as a variable inside this URL to retrieve the charge object to see if it's successful or not, right? So again, this is just a very simple configuration, and you can just put your payment ID here. So if I just go back to here, and let's see, which one is the recent one? Let's say it's this one, right? It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to copy one of those, and I'm going to go to back to the API. I'm going to click run. I can see why. I can see why. It's because if I go back, we just want the payment ID, right? We don't need the whole URL. Sorry. Nope. I want to go out again. Run. Boom. And just delete everything else. We just want the payment ID. Again, you basically get a list of objects back. You will get the charge ID, which is what you want, and success true, right? If you go back, the charge object, if you go down, there's actually a success somewhere. So basically, status, right? So if you go to here, I'm trying to find it. Sorry, object, payment month, brand. Status, here you go. So basically status is successful. This basically corresponds to the dashboard here. Sorry, go back to the dashboard. You can see here is that successful. So this is meant that the transaction, you can tell within the API that the transaction has been successful. So basically we're then returning that status, right? We're going to response, list zero charge status. Don't worry too much about this. It's just the code. To the payment status, basically telling the AI that, yeah, it is successful. The transaction has gone through. And because this transition has gone through, meaning the user has already paid the deposit, now you can actually go ahead and book the reservation, right? So we use a final tool, which is the reservation, the API tool. Use this to book the reservation. It's the final step. We have the date, time, email, and name. So we're going to be calling this API tool. Again, this is specifically a booking agent within end-to-end, which means that I hooked it up to a webhook. I send all the information of the customer, date, time, email, and the name, send it to an AI agent, right? That's attached to a Google Calendar book appointment action, right? So this is the whole point of this is to book an appointment for the client by executing the book appointment tool, right? So it's attached to this book appointment tool, right? So again, basically we have the name of the event and everything. So it's going to go ahead and use this tool to book a slot within Google Calendar, right? And actually book the reservation. So there you go. This is kind of everything that you need to know for the high-level workflow within this reservation deposit agent, right? And again, we have some of the rules and with some of the operational rules, etc. They're not too important, but hopefully you get the main conversational flow and the logic within this agent, right? This is how you can basically book the reservation, not just book the reservations, but actually collect a deposit and making sure the payment is secure and making sure the deposit is actually paid, right, on the phone, right? So yeah, if you want to implement something very similar for your business, right, like a voice agent for your restaurant, you're more than welcome to use the link in the description to book a free discovery call with me and my team. And if you're curious to learn more about implementing voice agents in general for your business, we've done lots of different tutorials around voice agents. So please stick around to the end of the video and just use the screen basically to watch your next voice agent video. But yeah, this is all from me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this kind of content, remember to like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.